Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Carlton People. I think a lot of you will know exactly who this is, but you've never met him. And today is the day. Ugur, it's a pleasure to have you on Carlton People, my friend.
Pleasure to be here, Terry. Yeah, thanks
We
for having
have
me.
we've known each other for a while now. It's been I think
3 years.
most people who I do these interviews with I've met through this channel. Um, and I think a lot of the community know who you are, those who regularly watch. So and I know you have a very unique story as well. Why don't you tell us, mate? How did you become a Carlton supporter?
Well, it's nothing amazing. Our family migrated from Turkey to Australia in 1970. We lived in the Brunswick area. Then we moved on to Flemington, those tall 20-story apartments. We moved over there, so we always lived in that area. I think it's one of my brothers. They basically said, we got to vote for Carlton, and being told to vote for Carlton. So I think just that's the way it happens. So, and ever since, I think I sort of remember far back as 1976 that I was sort of following Carlton. Um, Back in those days, it was a transistor radio. My older brother, Turgut, that you met earlier, a while back or last week. Yeah, he used to listen to the football. He was older than me. On the transistor radio, and we used to just sit around it and listen to what's going on, and you'd know some of the players because there used to be a replay that played once every week, Saturday at 6:30. Um, there'll be a 2-hour football program hosted by Peter Landy. I'm not too sure if you remember him, but Channel 7. So they would pick three of the best matches for the day, and we would see like one quarter of the match of one of those three matches. So Carlton was very popular. They used to show Carlton's matches. So yeah, I got to know some of the players from 75, 76, and I must say I probably feel a bit spoilt of of seeing so many grand finals in the earlier stages of my Carlton supporting life. I think I have a soft spot for people like you. My two boys, my good daughter, who are following Carlton and haven't seen a grand final, so, and I feel spoiled. So
We're
I think that's why I like to get around you guys and give you support. Look, we'll get there, guys.
we will all in good time. We will. So
Yeah.
you mentioned you had family that sort of brought you into the Carlton world, but I guess coming from Turkey, so for the most part, that's football, that's the round ball. Um, was
Yeah.
learning the game
Well,
of rules part of integrating into the culture?
yeah. We didn't really play football in the mid 70s. Maybe towards the later 70s, we moved up to the northern suburbs. So when we went to school in Brunswick, not many people played football. Just my brother was interested, and we used to listen on the transistor radio and watch it on TV. It was a black and white TV those days. But yeah, as we moved up to northern suburbs, Broadmeadows, it was a real awakening, and everyone played this game, Aussie rules football. It was in like year 3, year 4, and I had no clue, and I found it to be accepted. I think I thought this is an opportunity. Maybe I can learn this game, play well in the game, and be more accepted. Because back then at Dallas North Primary School, I think, yeah, everyone was Australian except me and my three brothers. So 4 boys. We're the only one with black hair and short hair. Everyone had hair down to their shoulders, and we stood out. They used to call us different names, but I think I found sport as a way of being accepted back in those days. And I was quite good at cricket, not as good as football, but I loved playing football. But I was probably better at cricket. Yeah.
Mm. What are your earliest memories of going to watch Carlton?
I didn't get to watch it. In our culture, like sport is not a high priority. My mother and father never promoted us to be sports people or go to sports. It was all about get an education, and we might go back to Turkey or just do what's important. Don't muck around with things like sports. So it wasn't until about 1982, I think, my older brother had a car, a Datsun 200B, I think it was, and we went down to Princess Park to watch Carlton Footscray, and that was the first time. There was a standing room only behind the goals. Um, and I sort of remember that game. There was Bruce Dool and there was Jeff Southby, and they sort of stood out in that game. Actually, that game appeared on the news that night because there was an all-in brawl in the with the spectators behind the goal. It's exactly where we're standing, but we had left about 10 minutes earlier. But yeah, that game went on news because there was a massive brawl, spectators. But that was yeah, I didn't really, I always used to watch football very closely. I used to buy the Herald Sun on the Monday to check out the stats, and I used to love the stats, who got the most possessions, and I used to love, love following football. But it
Mm.
wasn't our culture to go to games until maybe after I got married, and in the 90s I started going more regularly. But, yeah, it was, yeah, so 1982, I think it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, from some of the stories I've listened to over the years, I really am told about how different the environment was back then. There's a lot more tribal, maybe a bit more intimidating. Like you mentioned, a fight breaking out was probably a lot more common back then than what it is now. I think now you have a bit more of a family feel about going to the football. They try and really cater to the kids, and they have activations and games. And how do you find the change in? I mean, you go a lot more now than probably what you ever have.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. My experience, when I first went in '82, was, people used to bring in their beer, the esky. They used to walk into the ground. So a lot of people drinking. It wasn't really a place that you would, bring your children. Well, I didn't think that. There was a lot of really bad swearing, and and it was with a lot of people were drinking and getting drunk. I felt so didn't give me the comfortable feeling of bringing family there. But obviously, in the 90s, I think really cleaned up, and it's a great place to bring, family. I take my wife, we go with my children, grandchildren, we all go together. We have 8 rows of seats together, reserved seats, and we all sit together. And yeah, we love it. Yeah, it's footies. I think it's an escape for me. It's an escape, I think I work pretty hard, have worked pretty hard, and just going to the footy, I think, is an escape for me, just to do something different and just focus on something a little bit different for a couple of hours and get some real good enjoyment out of it.
Yeah. I often remind myself, I mean, we get so caught up in caring for the results and we want success, and then when it's all said and done and you really think about it, like it's a game. It's a fantasy
Yeah,
that we all get so caught up in, but we love it so much.
we are caught up in it too. It's been so much, yeah. Just I think like we did during the 80s. There was very little coverage of football back then. There used to be on Channel 7 or 7 on Saturdays there'll be 2 hour replay program. Then on the Sunday they'll have the World of Sport, and that was very interesting. They used to invite all of the coaches in. And they used to ask them questions, and we used to love watching World of Sport on Sundays. But then later on, Eddie Maguire's show was pretty popular. And when Fox came on foot, those football shows. But you never got enough of football. I never got enough because I like to analyze the details, scoring. And it wasn't until my son was watching your show about 3 years ago. Oh, what's this? What are you watching? And that's when I first sort of bumped into it, and I thought, oh, this is really good. I can get really good details about my team and how they played, and just fully Carlton focus, which I just love. And now I don't watch Fox Footy, and I think what you guys provide for us is awesome. And you might see me, obviously supporting your channel, and that's the reason why. Because I love it. I wanted to always be here for the fans.
Yeah. I mean, there's a magic in the community of the club, and I've got my own perception of what makes the club so great. And I think now that we've got somewhere online, we've got a digital
Mm.
place to be where, away from, we all go to the games or we all tune in to the games at home on TV, but now we've got something throughout the week to keep us engaged. What do you think, in your experience, not just, now with digital, but your whole life watching the club, like what makes the Carlton Football Club what it is? What is it to you?
Um, I think in the 80s, I think maybe 70s and 80s, the Prime Minister used to support the club, the number one ticket holder. So I think it was Menzies in the 70s and Malcolm Fraser in the 80s. So I always had this magic appeal, like the highest person in the land would pay for Carlton. You'd have rock bands come from overseas. I remember ABBA. They used to come down. They used to wear Carlton uniform. Like just the place to be. If you were a star person, like a very famous person, you bury for Carlton, and that's to me. I think that was the magic of Carlton. Like you'd always have very well-known people attracted to it. The emblem, I think it's a very nice emblem. Um, yeah, I think that was it for me. It was just like that's where everyone wanted to be. Everyone wants to support Carlton, I think.
Mm. What are your fondest memories? Or some of you, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty. You've seen premierships, but what are some of your fondest memories?
Oh, um, well, the first grand final, 1979 grand final, we got our first colour TV that year, and watching at home, the Wayne Harms tap from the boundary line, and watching that with my family, that was awesome. And then we got spoilt. We won 81 and 82. But then the Kernahan years, they were that phase was just amazing. We got all these elite players from South Australia and Craig Bradley. There was Peter Motley, but he had a car accident. He probably would have been the best out of them all. Better
Really?
than Kernahan, better than Brad. Yeah, everyone said that he is. Like in an interstate game, I remember watching Motley just totally outmarked Gary Ablett, like so much so Gary Ablett had to be moved off him. I've never seen anyone take speckies over Gary Ablett like Peter Motley did. And unfortunately, he only played 1 year for Carlton and had a really bad accent. But yeah, we lost him, and that's. But through that team, they won the the 87 premiership, and Greg Williams won the 95 premiership, and there were highlights scattered throughout every decade. I think I was very spoilt, and we got to see three grand finals in 4 years in that 79-80 period, and one grand final in 80, one in 90. 99, I was at the preliminary final there against Essendon. That was amazing, and we just won it by 1 point. We were very much the underdog. Essendon were clearly the best team that year. I think they only lost 2 games, if that. And yeah, it was just amazing. We won that game. That was the best match that I saw until I think that the Melbourne semi-final that was just this year. I think that is now just eclipsed all matches. That was amazing, that game. I wasn't able to get a ticket to that game, but I was watching it here at home on that big cinema screen, and we're just going nuts here. But the Swans game wasn't too bad the week before, and I was at that game, and what I was so amazed was the stands. They were shaking, like when Carlton scored a goal. It was like an earthquake. Like the second stand was just going bouncing up and down. I've never felt that experience. So yeah, it's amazing being Carlton supporter.
One thing I was aware of this year, I made sure to be present about, was the fact that nothing will be like maybe if we win a premiership, soon. I'm sure that'd be crazy, but I always said to myself, like, make sure you soak it in the first time this group plays finals because it had been so long and we had gone through such a journey just to get to finals, let alone win one, let alone win two. So yeah, I
Um,
the one thing I'll never forget is the final siren for both of the wins. And you're right, it's like the air was shaking. It was like
it's
it was a really
crazy. I've never
yeah.
experienced. I've gone to so many Carlton games at the MCG, but I've never felt the grandstand shake. That was crazy. I thought just going to collapse. But
Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't fortunate enough to go to the Melbourne game, but yeah, that was amazing watching that on TV.
So, from what you've seen, what's missing? What are they got to do? Are they? Is it just time? Is
Yeah,
it just experience for you?
I think got most of the pieces in the jigsaw right. If you look at the Brisbane game, how did they beat us? They beat us. They had pace outside from the middle. I felt. Um, I don't know. I think we just maybe Holland's a new guy may fit in the centre, but I think we're all there. This maybe just consistency. If Charlie had a good final series, I think that would have put us in the grand final. We could have won it, but he was a bit out of whack. I think so. Just consistency and performance, I think, and maybe not on. Maybe throughout the whole year we had really amazing end of the last half compared to the first half. Yeah, I think most of the pieces are there. De Koning's going to be a great ruckman. I think we just see last couple of games, and he could be anything next year. So yeah, watch out for him. I think next year.
Yeah.
Hopefully everyone just gets 5% better, and I think that's all we need. We don't need too
Yeah.
much, really.
That's the thing. Everyone around us, everyone's going to improve. Everyone, we start
Yeah,
from. Everyone starts from zero again. So as much as
that's
I'm
right.
sure that we're good enough to be there and win it, they still got to go out and do it.
Yeah. So hopefully, yeah, hopefully we have a good start and consistent year. I think critical thing is we end up try to end up in the top two, so we don't play interstate finals. So that hurt us, and I think that finals, the Brisbane game was in Melbourne. We're winning that, so
Yeah.
the
We
key too is just having a good year. We've got to finish first, second, to guarantee, a home final.
Yeah, if
And
the
I
stands are
think we,
shaking if the stand if the stands are shaking
yeah,
for an elimination final and a semi-final, can you imagine what we're gonna do to the stands in a grand final?
can you imagine Carlton calling a grand final 2024?
It could
Melbourne would
happen.
go nuts. Melbourne would go nuts.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
about I mean, you mentioned you've got, you go with the family. What's it like having not only, children, but, grandchildren now and sort of sitting with all of them while you're,
Yeah.
alive and healthy and all of you going together? What's that like?
Like my daughter, she likes football, but she just likes to go to the best and fairest, and I think that's what attracts her to Carlton. And then my sons, obviously they've been burnt following Carlton throughout the '90s and early 2000s. So, and it's good to see them for a smile in their face now. And my wife, she just, she loves to just come along with us. So, and the grandchildren, yeah, yeah, they obviously they're the favourites, Charlie, and they're always keeping an eye on Charlie and see if he scores a goal. So we all have different points of view of watching the game. And me, I like the stats. I always like to straight away look at the phone, see who got the most kicks, most marks. Everyone has a different view, of what they're looking for. But yeah,
Very good. Well, I've got to ask you, like I ask everyone as I finish this, which year, based on what you've seen and the trajectory that we're on, which year do you think they lift up the cup?
uh, I think it's next year. We are winning it next year.
I like it.
I just,
I like
I
it. The
definitely,
belief's come back. I'm telling you,
yeah,
I've
oh
got a
yeah,
few of these. The belief is
yeah, yeah.
back.
We're doing it next year. Yeah, we've learned a lesson. I think we just clean up the forward line, the transition to the forward line. Getting Charlie free is the key to winning the grand final. We just need to get him loose,
Yeah,
and they've got to work on that through the summer. And that's the only missing piece, I think. Yeah, midfield to the forward transition.
yeah.
And the cup is ours.
I like it. I like it. Well, Ud, it's been a pleasure to meet you and your family, and thanks so much for your support of everything that we do here. And we'll see you
Pleasure.
soon, no doubt.
You do a great job. Go Blues.
Go Blues.